Community Development Block Grant Funds. And this is the first one for this upcoming grant, which should start, and I say should because we have no idea really what's going on, should start at the beginning of July. Usually by this time we kind of have a ballpark figure as to how much we will be receiving, but the dollar figure has yet to be announced. So if we look at previous years, the city's always gotten around anywhere from $100,000 to $110,000. So that's just a ballpark figure as to probably what we'll be receiving this year. But again, if you're watching the news or paying attention, we really have no idea as to what the dollar figure is that we will be receiving. On the paper that I handed out, we kind of talked about CDBG projects has to meet one of three requirements. It either has to benefit low and moderate income people, has to eliminate slum and blight, or has to be an emergency need. And in the past, the city has used theirs mainly to benefit low and moderate income persons. So over a year time period, you have to show that at least 70% of your funds have gone to benefit low and moderate income persons. So we've always been higher than that figure, as we've done at least, well, really 100% of our funds benefiting low and moderate income persons, because most of our dollars have gone to renovating houses, whether it be windows and doors or emergency repairs such as roofs, gutters, downspouts, HVAC systems. So the purpose of today's meeting is just to kind of get some ideas from people if they have any potential projects they might want to see, and we can kind of determine whether or not that would be eligible for these funds. So does anybody have any projects or ideas or any questions? Yes. No, no. Last year's funds, we did not get them until about 3 months ago.
Yeah, so you're talking about the budget we're currently in? Okay, so over, yeah, we got them just a little bit before Christmas, so we've had about 3 months to spend that money, and so you want to give
Yes.
those numbers?
With that, we have started the home improvement program, started the projects. With the CDBG funds also, they have what's called a timeliness issue, that you can only carry 1.5 times your dollar figure 60 days prior to when your grant starts. So they do a little calculation and they send it to you to tell you, hey, you might be in trouble, or you're doing all right. The city of Vienna has to spend, excuse me, $7,626 by May the 2nd, which there should not be any problem whatsoever spending that.
We have at least two projects in the queue right now that we just haven't finalized and written the check yet.
But if you don't spend that money within the time period, then you could be put on probation, and then they could technically take your money away from you. So that's why you can't really come up with a lot of big projects that's going to take several years, because you don't have that timeliness to be able to spend it. If that makes sense. mean, we seem to get a lot of people interested in that once we kind of,
The
like
ball
Amy,
rolling.
yeah, because we didn't get the money until late. It's you also have to verify income, etc. So financial information can't be older than 60 days. So you're kind of in a excuse me limbo right there if you can't approve somebody, and then if it takes more than 60 days, you have to go back through that approval process all over again. So that's why excuse me projects didn't get approved as quickly as we had hoped because we didn't know how much money we were going to get. But it is a good program. The way it works is the city places a lien on the property, and 20% is forgiven for each year that person owns and lives in that house. So at the end of 5 years, the amount of money is forgiven, and there's no money paid back to the city. If they would sell it within that 5 year time period, then based upon whatever percentage of how many years they lived in the house, they would pay the city back a certain percent.
I think that's happened maybe 3 times
Yeah,
over the last probably 5 years.
probably so. Yeah, and the people don't seem to mind. I'm
No,
not saying they don't mind, but they don't complain or anything because they're made aware of it up front. There's legal documents that are filed on their property, so there's not a problem with it. If their name was not on the original deed, then yes, because they would not be the owner. They would not be the original owner of the property. Because they have to own and live in it, yes. Yes, Tammy.
we generally don't ever get to a 0 point. There is an amount that we carry over. Um, we do get to the point where we are not in violation with HUD. We spend as much as we possibly can within the time period that they allow us. We the last few years have not had any trouble getting applications. I think last year we did at least 10,
Right. Yeah.
10 or 11 homes, which added up to, nearly every dollar of our money. But you do carry over a bit every year. So I don't want you to think that we ever, never really at zero. It's just how
It's just how the
virtue,
program
virtue
works
of
that
how
you
it
always,
works.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
it is. Yeah. Kind of like a checkbook. You don't, you're never really out of money. Um, but you're not in, we are within all of the parameters that
Yeah,
HUD
HUD
says.
has no problems with the amount. I think, and I've been doing this for probably 12 years, I think there's only been one time the city was put on probation at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was. No, I mean, I didn't handle the CDBG program back then, but we were, we
because
did
they
we
wanted
did
to do a
really
large
do.
project, and you can't just hold on to that money,
Yeah,
is what HUD's telling me. You got to spend
you
it.
got to spend it, some of it. Yeah, and so we did do a real push. I mean, we took door hangers around and placed them on people's doors in neighborhoods. We did an advertisement in the newspaper.
Yeah.
We definitely are getting ready to. I've talked with Sean, and we're getting ready to put an article in the newsletter once again advertising it. So I think we do a good job, and I think that the last few years we haven't had any trouble finding people that need that money. I also think just the word of mouth is getting around about it, and so that's also.
Yeah, because I mean, you hate to say it, but there's some people that don't believe a program like this could actually exist. It's like, well, there has to be some loophole to it, or the city's going to come after my house, or nobody's going to give me this free money. But it's actually out there if you qualify. Part of the reason for placing the lien is we didn't want somebody to get this money and turn around and sell that house tomorrow and make a fortune off of it.
We fix the house up. They turn around and sell the house after paid to fix it up. So the forgiveness of 20% per year. Um,
So there are no age requirements.
No age requirements.
So anybody that owns a home meets the income requirements to apply for that. I think it's important to note that in the public hearing notice that you put out, that you list some of the types of activities that are eligible for funding under CDBG programs. Improvements to public facilities, such as removal of architectural barriers, demolition of environmental cleanup, uh, relocation payments for persons displaced as a result of any CDBG activity, rehabilitation of houses, I think is what we're focusing on through this current conversation, code enforcement, special economic development activities, special activities undertaken by a community-based development organization, program administration, and other miscellaneous activities.
Right, that list comes from HUD for us to inform everybody as to here's potential projects that you could do. Doesn't mean you have to do them, but it's just things that cost a deal. And again, a lot of that, and not to criticize because Vienna should be grateful for the money, but you have other cities that are getting well over $2 or $3 million. You can do the larger projects around here. You get $100,000, it's hard to do a large project.
I believe, I think from a meeting I went to with you, there were 7 cities in West Virginia that received CDBG funds. Only 7.
Yes,
And we're one of them.
which we are the smallest in terms of dollars.
Second smallest.
Yes.
Yes.
How does that compare to per capita? That's the smallest amount of money, but in regards to population.
I think it's always
They say that they look at population, they look at demographics in terms of big stock of the housing stock, how well it is kept, that type of thing. And I don't know how they come up with that magic number, but it stays consistent over the years. I mean, it might go up 1,000, down 1,000, that type of thing. with the home consortium, it's actually overseen by in our area by the city of Parkersburg, and Vienna is part of that. If that Vienna had a project that would qualify for their needs or for their projects, then yeah, you could ask for money there. No, no. Like Amy said, there's only 11.
I think there were 7 cities.
7 cities that receive it. I have said several times, and they don't know how Vienna ever qualified, but we did, so we're grateful for it. But yeah,
Yes, helps a lot of people.
part of it is you don't really apply for it as much as HUD looks at all the data, like for the state of West Virginia, determines who would be eligible for these funds. And somehow in their calculation, they determined that Vienna was eligible. And Amy can tell you when the gentleman came here, he said, I don't know how somebody determined you were eligible, but hey, you are, so.
Well, let's not concern our question with why.
We won't ask that, yes, we'll just move on, yeah. Because in this area, Parkersburg, it's probably at least $500,000 each year. And then because they're the larger of the two entities, they oversee the consortium. Thank you. And anytime you can fix up a house in the neighborhood, I mean, it also then makes that person beside you want to do improvements to their house. It's like a domino effect. It's like, hey, if I put in new windows, maybe I should do something to my house. So yeah, that's the benefit of it also. Yes. Like Amy said, I think it was a code enforcement that went out on the properties.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think even some public works employees. So
That's up to Tammy. I wanted to, I mean, the city has those items printed up for
I
help.
believe we still have some of those.
You can go around through your district or wherever you want to go to inform them. Any other questions? Just to tell you the process we will go through whenever it is that we know the dollar figure. We will have another public hearing to say, hey, we're getting X amount of dollars and here's how we propose to spend it. And then after that public hearing, it will go to council for their approval and authorization to send to that office in Pittsburgh. In the ideal world, it would be sent in by the beginning of May, but who knows when we're going to find out. Because usually by this point in time, we know. Any further questions? If not, thank you for coming, and we'll keep you apprised as to how we're going. If you know anybody in the meantime, send them our way, or send them to Sean, send them to Dave to get started with the process.